It's a common occurrence in the city of Culiacán. Corpses bearing marks of torture dumped by the side of the road at night and found the next day. Despite reinforced security measures, with soldiers and armoured vehicles in support, since September, nothing has been able to stop score settling between rival gangs. For the city's undertakers, it's become a grim routine.
We wait for the authorities to identify the bodies, and when the families arrive, we offer them our services. The other day, my colleague was caught in a shootout. While the corpses were being identified, the criminals came and shot people. Last week, I covered about 15 murders, but there are 5 of us at the funeral parlor, and we take it in turns.
This fratricidal war comes at a heavy cost for Mexicans. On the 25th of July, El Mayo Zumbada, a drug lord who until then had lived a relatively discreet life, was arrested in the United States, along with Joaquin Guzman Lopez. Joaquin Guzman Lopez is the son of El Chapo Guzman, who had run the powerful Sinaloa cartel for several decades, together with El Mayo. Did El Chapo's son betray his associate to the US authorities? There's nothing to prove it. But since then, the two factions of the cartel have declared war on each other. Shootings regularly break out in the city. Like this one on the 21st of September in a busy shopping mall. Former President Andrés Manuel López Obrador, who left power in September, sent in reinforcements to try to calm things down.
I would like to tell the people of Culiacán that we have sent sufficient reinforcements to guarantee peace and tranquility.
Suficiente para garantizar la paz, la tranquilidad.
Look, yesterday in the state of Sinaloa, the number of homicides was down to 2.
Tuvimos 2 homicidios.
But journalists like Marcos scoff at speeches like this. He often finds himself alone in the newsroom because his colleagues, like everyone else here, are scared to leave their homes. The homicide map they've drawn up gives another picture of the situation.
We've been in the middle of shootouts. We've been reporting on people who've been murdered. But in the official bulletins, which they started publishing late, we see that the death count falls short of the real number. And because of all this insecurity, journalists in Sinaloa are unable to cover rural areas, where we know there's even more violence. And we cannot contact people in these areas because they get death threats if they speak to the press.
The Sinaloa cartel, a parallel authority in this part of Mexico. We're in a neighborhood on the outskirts of Culiacán. Around the municipal rubbish dump, poverty is extreme. Many here are displaced residents from rural areas, like this old man who was driven from his farm by gang members.
We had to leave everything. Everything. What could we do? They forced us to leave at gunpoint. Armed men are constantly fighting there. So we came here.
The cartels are feared here, but they also like to act as benefactors. 4 years ago, in the middle of the pandemic, Esmeralda wanted to create a small school for children who couldn't take online classes.
We appealed for donations. We asked the government for help. We published articles, but no one helped us. And then we received a donation from the sons of El Chapo Guzman. They called us and told us we would receive shoes, uniforms, school supplies, computers, a TV, everything we needed. And when the supplies arrived, we saw the gang's initials on the boxes. We knew we would be heavily criticized, but at that moment, we really needed the supplies.
Since then, the local government finally installed a semblance of a school in the neighborhood, a vandalized mobile home with no running water. Today, it's no longer the pandemic, but organized crime that prevents children from going to school. Esmeralda welcomes them in the small canteen she runs with the help of a food bank.
Families can no longer send their children to school, The authorities can say whatever they want and demand that teachers open their classrooms. But we as parents believe that at the moment, it's just too dangerous. It's unbelievable that criminals are free, whereas we are imprisoned in our houses. How did it get to this?
Every evening, around 7 p.m., the city gradually dies down. Restaurants shut early, and the streets empty out. A sign that Mexico is far from finding a solution to this scourge of violence.